Hey y'all, I'm here. I know it's been a hot minute. So I had actually moved out of my parents' house a couple months ago. It didn't work out, so I ended up moving back in. So during that period of this couple months, I just wasn't feeling like sorry, I got like trying to burp, but it won't come up. Um, During that period, I wasn't feeling any kind of way to be making videos. I was trying to adjust to a new place. Just working a lot. Just spending time at home and stuff like that, so I just didn't have the drive really. And then I started having a bunch of really difficult thoughts and feelings last night, and I thought I would kind of just start talking about some of them, at least half of it, because I realized it could be interesting for someone to know what the dating scene is like for someone like me, and what that looks like for someone who once was living a certain way, then went back to themselves as far as transition goes. The female perspective especially. Um, and I've never really been someone who's been out in the dating scene like that. I've never really participated like that. I've never really had much of an interest in it. I had made a video about this before, but I actually wanted to bring some other things up as well. Now that I've had some more time to think about it, I ended up deleting the video because, you could see my mile high club forehead and a bunch of other things, and it wasn't that great of a look for me, so I just deleted it at the time, just for my own, peace of mind. But anyway, so I've already talked about this. I have been single for a very long time. I don't know when I'm going to be getting in a relationship. To be honest with you, I'm not really trying that hard to get into a relationship. I'm talking to somebody right now. I met him on a social media site. I didn't meet him on a dating site, thank God. I've been just kind of floating in the wind. I've just kind of been drifting about when it comes to the dating world. I'm 27 now, and I had stopped testosterone treatment when I was 21. From the time I started detransitioning to now, I've been through so many complex things, so many difficult things. My life has just been, very hard since I had started testosterone when I was a teenager. It's been tumultuous. I think I'm just tired, to be honest with you. I am tired. I only have known what it's like to be alone for as long as I have. I've always just had myself to fall back on, and it's not because I don't want to be with someone. In fact, the loneliness over not having someone, it hurts. It hurts quite a lot. It eats me up on some days. It's not a life that I would want anyone to really live. I wouldn't really want someone to live my life in general. My life has been nonstop, struggling and unique personal issues, and they're very hard to deal with, and most people wouldn't know how to have the coping strategies, coping skills, or the want or the drive to get through it. So I've kind of just been in myself for so long. I've been isolated for a very long time. I've really only been with like one other person in my life, believe it or not. And I don't really go into my relationship history on here. There really isn't much to write down. I'm not someone who's done a lot of dating at all. I don't have a lot of dating experience. And I think it's just better that way, because I don't want to be trying to force myself to get out there and make myself date and make myself use dating sites, and go through and get run through a bunch of people myself and end up having a lot of baggage and emotional scars from that. I think that's worse than anything. And that's why I have I've installed, uninstalled, deleted, come back to dating sites over and over and over again, just for them to not work again. And that is just because my brain does not know how to accept being in that kind of environmental space on the internet. I feel like, okay, something costing like $139 for a Tinder gold deal, or $40 a month, or whatever it ends up adding up to, that is fucking ridiculous. That is inhumane to be taking advantage of vulnerable people like that. And that is not something that I want to participate in. Because as a woman, I deal with things, and I've dealt with a lot of creeps coming to me, or people just wanting to bust one with me, like right off the bat. Just instigating really sexual things, or people with baggage, or people with like no social skills, or people who are very lazy and don't want to make the effort. I mean, I never even got a date out of those things. I've got numbers, but I've never moved on to dating, actually seeing them in person, because I don't know how to even go about telling people, hey, I'm a detransitioner, or hey, I did this and that in my past, or come up with some kind of lie to tell them and try to cover up what happened to me over the years. It's just so difficult. It takes so much energy. It takes so much time out of my life when I could just be going out organically and meeting people, which I want to do. And that's difficult for me to do too, because I am permanently altered by hormones, testosterone. My voice especially is a dead giveaway to what I had done to myself from a very young age. I am unique in the way that my voice does go as low as it does. For a woman who used testosterone, a lot of times they get into this middle range in their throat, or they still talk from their nose. So they sound almost like E.T., in my opinion. It sounds very unnatural, very jarring, and that's even more terrible in other ways. Like, okay, I'm not trying to be mean to people who've been through that, but like it's rough. I can only imagine what someone's vocal cords are going through with that. But for that reason alone, I don't really go out, and I don't really expose myself too much. And also my face has been altered too. So if I start talking, if I do change my voice and I start talking more femininely, it doesn't stand out as much. But if I talk the way that I'm talking now, people think I'm male. So I just, that's very hard to deal with. And quite honestly, it's something I regret. It's one of the biggest regrets of my transition, in the history that I had, growing up and everything. Trying to do that to myself. But, I think even after COVID, to add that on top of it, the world has just turned upside down. It's really gone to shit. People have gone to shit. They don't know how to cope with anything. People are extremely immature, and I think they're socially stunted because we're relying on social media and the internet so much now, because that's what they were doing during the pandemic. So, and I don't know. I don't really understand why it's such a widespread issue, because I feel like the pandemic made me a better person. It made me a more mature person, a better developed person. And I had to be, because that's the beginning of 2020 was when I started, when I went off testosterone. I became aware of so many things I was trying to hide from within myself. And I don't see people doing that at all. Most people, at least. I see, even with my limited dating experience and getting on those apps and seeing how people behave, and then just seeing how people behave in like social environments. I've bar hopped, I've gone to coffee shops, I've just out and about doing whatever I'm doing, hiking or whatever. I just find that people are very stuck within themselves, are very, very much stuck behind a wall they can't seem to break through. And I get it, because I go through that myself too, especially given the complexities that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Personally, I just feel like we're all struggling. We're all struggling with very basic things. I mean, the price of living has gone up. The economy, so many things have gone up in price. It's impossible to have a good time when things are like that too. The quality of the internet has gone down, so people are like a lot more likely to be radicalized. The algorithm is taking advantage of people's weaknesses and getting them stuck in loops where they're consuming content that are extreme in nature, and people become all stuck up in conspiracy theories and stuff like that from that on all sides. And I blame AI for that. AI is also people are using AI to figure things out and how to live, basically, and it's dumbing people down, and our social media sites are becoming inundated with AI shit and fake things and ads and all that. And in our world, it's like you can't tell what's real and what's not anymore. So I really don't blame anyone. I get very miserable thinking about this, and I get very scared for the future. because I have a lot of time on my hands. I live out in the sticks again, so that gives me too much time to think and to introspect, and I get to a point where I do get into like a spiral because of just because I don't know how to adapt to this. I don't think anybody does. I don't know how to make my life work and be a positive person or a happy person or an at peace person with all this when I can't get comfortable with myself. I can't, it just seems like there isn't a real way out of my issues because I feel like people are more judgmental now than ever. And I just don't want to be vulnerable with people. I don't want to put my heart on my sleeve and allow myself to go and be with other people because of the fact that I just feel like this is the worst time in history to be different, because I feel like people read into it that things that aren't there. People believe in delusional things more than ever now. They believe in things that are causing a collapse and an unnatural and violent upheaval in our society, like concepts from gender ideology and transgenderism itself. I believe these concepts have really disrupted a normal rhythm and understanding of reality in society and how the unit of society works, and on an individual level of understanding, culture and people's gender and just understanding of people and individuality too, I think is a big one. I feel like the individuality is being threatened more than ever because there's a label for everything. There's an aesthetic for everything. There's these different genders and these different kinds of people. There's trans men and there's trans women. And, you should never assume someone's gender. You should always ask pronouns. And, all these stupid fucking things that make no sense in reality, that don't apply to reality. We're not fish. We're not frogs. We're not invertebrates. We're fucking mammals. We're human beings. Human beings are completely dimorphic. We're not these weird species of mollusks or, these invertebrates, snails, frogs, fish. That doesn't apply to us. We are human beings. So I just feel like I put myself out there to talk to people. They're going to be like, oh, what's your pronouns? Oh, are you trans? Or, oh, because as soon as people start doing that, I put a wall up and I just say, fuck you. I don't really want to talk to you. I don't want to be with somebody who perpetuates and believes in that. I don't want someone who is going to put the feelings and the weird objective and agenda of those people first before, actual real people that don't fuck with that. You know what I mean? Like, that don't believe in that shit. That don't perpetuate things that cause harm to society and to an entire generation of kids. So, and, I don't want to date men who are in that. I don't want to be with men who want to hold that in their head. I don't want ones that are all liberal and everything, because I just feel like they don't have a strong sense of values. I feel like they don't have my values. My issue now is like I'm starting to get standards. And I didn't have as many standards. I was more open-minded before, I guess. Or I wouldn't say open-minded, but I was a little more tolerant. I was a little more willing to break, to give myself a break with standards. Try to be understanding, a little more flexible with people. But I just think over time, and as I've grown, as I've matured, especially when I hit 25, when that switch flipped in me, and I made that entire video just recently, not the last upload, but the upload before the last video, I really just bared my soul and I let out all that ugliness and that negativity about my situation inside me. I just let y'all have it, and when I turned 25, I started realizing I'm not going to be alive very long. I'm running out of time. Honestly, given the way society is, I only have such a limited time to make things work. So I want to be with the kind of man that mirrors my values. A man who will put me first instead of the feelings of other strangers first. And instead of a teeny tiny little demographic that doesn't even make maybe even 1% of society on this earth. I want a man who will agree with me on this, so that the way there's no gray area with it. They can't use anything against me. I don't want to deal with liberal, Democrat shit, because I think in a relationship, because I think it has gotten too extreme. It's gone too far, and people really don't have good opinions most of the time about what's going on in the world, and especially given my situation, I don't feel like people have a very good grasp. They just kind of go with the mainstream, and they go with if anybody feels like it, they just do what they want, live and let live. It's America, freedom of choice. It's like, well, then I have the freedom of choice to say what I think is acceptable and go against it if I want to, because it hurt me, and it's hurt so many people, and it's destroying lives as we speak right now. And I don't want to be with somebody who perpetuates that. I don't want to be with someone who perpetuates the idea of gender and, erasure of individuality and of homosexuality and just the basic fundamental reality of man and woman. Like, I don't want to be with somebody who's going to threaten that. And a lot of those really liberal democratic men, they do that. They put up a facade for that so they can sit there and try to get in your pants. It's a strategy so they can get pussy. And they can do that with the women. They can go brainwash and be with the women who think that they're liberal and this and that, and they're so great, and they're all up in women's asses like, oh, like, I care about women's rights and everything, just kissing your ass. Like, no. You guys can go be with men like that. I'm not going to be with men like that who are not real and will sit there and perpetuate delusions. It's not going to happen. Anyway, that was a long tangent. Anyway, so, and today's dating culture is so toxic. Like, you're especially with the dating apps, you're boiling people down to physical fucking objects that you're window shopping for. Like, you're shopping for a car, or you're window shopping, and basically the dating apps are like Zillow. You're treating people like they're property for you. And then you have this idea that everyone has to starts having these super high standards, these ridiculous things, because they think they have this illusion of options. And the thing is, yes, there are lots of people out there, but that doesn't mean that they're good options. Actually, good, solid, good quality people are rare. They are hard to find. That's why they say love is rare. Love is very hard to find. It doesn't come easy. All the timeless songs we've had throughout human history that have communicated this, that have push this message forward, and because it's true. Like, I don't know. I'm just not going to sit there and boil someone down to just a bunch of physical characteristics. It's all about looks. It's all about appearance, and it is the epitome of objectification in the worst way possible. It's like treating people like they're a bunch of cattle, especially with how expensive it is. It's just completely taking advantage of someone who's very lonely and vulnerable, which we all very much are in this society. And when you go out in the real world, you don't rely solely on aesthetics. You have to get to know someone. You have to get to know chemistry, and chemistry is as old as time. Looks are not. We started out needing to know pheromones and chemistry and scents because we didn't rely on appearance so much. It wasn't always important in way back in human history as it is now. It is something we have evolved into, physical attractiveness. But like I said, chemistry, that is more important than anything. I mean, you can see a beautiful person, very attractive, aesthetically person, and you start talking with them, then you get to the bedroom, something just doesn't feel right. Something doesn't smell right. There's something in your chemical makeup that does not mesh well with theirs. And that is what I'm talking about. Like, that is something that is so understated and something that is just being forgotten about more and more on these dating apps. That's why it's like you use a dating app to bridge the gap and meet the person. Then it's just like, this person's not fucking right for me at all. Something about this person's off. And especially the fact that on dating sites, people are just not good quality people. They're very socially awkward. They have a lot of serious problems. And, that's just something people are just forgetting about so much because they don't have the skills to actually go out of their way and meet someone. And, I could be saying this to myself too. I know that's true because I met this guy online. Okay. I'm not saying every medium online is bad for meeting people. I think social media sites, especially since they're free too, if you want to use the internet to make it easier for you, more convenient, just use Instagram or use Snapchat. Oh, Snapchat's bad. Don't use Snapchat. I tried that. That's just, they're all just looking to stick their dick somewhere, or you know, get a harem of men going. Don't do that. But okay, so Facebook dating and Instagram, maybe Reddit. Be very careful of Reddit. That's kind of a weird one. I mean, there's always going to be sketchy people. There's always going to be bad people. You know what? You know, that's just how it is on the internet. I still think it's better than social media. Than dating sites, because dating sites actually try to fuck with your psychology to get more money. They're not trying to get you to match with somebody. They're intentionally keeping you single so you can spend hundreds of dollars a year on their stupid shit that doesn't even provide hardly any benefits or features or anything extra. Tinder Gold is a very bare minimum. Very, very bare minimum. You can't even match with someone or see who likes you, even just doing the very basic plan. The cheapest plan. And that's how it used to be when you used it for free, but now it's just a downward spiral, man. People might as well just leave those places in droves, especially if you're an average male. Like, don't even try it. Don't do it. Don't do that to yourself. And women, you know what? Women too, because women put themselves on there and they get all the wrong attention. They get run through, they get hurt and damaged over and over and over again. So, and the men get damaged because they don't live up to some stupid standard they can't live up to. So you guys really just arrive at the same destination, albeit for very different reasons, and nobody wins at the end of it. So fuck it, you know? Fuck all that shit. You know, everyone deserves better than that, you know? And that's just why, you know, I will not use those things anymore. It's just they're trying to manipulate you in the worst way possible, using your own natural biological mechanisms to manipulate you. Those things just take age-old issues, age-old biological problems, flaws, and all these shortcomings people have, and they magnify and intensify it by like fucking 20-fold is what those things do. Because it's so surface level based. It's basically a fucking meat market. I would say those things are meat markets for anybody. Even if you're attractive, they just don't unless you're attractive and you're just using them to get into flings or hookups, casual things. That's the only real benefit. But the price you have to pay is you have to be cold-headed. You have to dissociate. You have to detach from your emotions and from an outcome and from all these really natural things that we have in order to bond and connect with other people. I mean, you're not really using it for that anyway, but still, that just fucks you up psychologically so badly, no matter who you are, unless you're a little bit sociopathic, maybe even a psychopath. Like, there's really no benefit to that. It's just for sociopaths. Okay, let the sociopaths be there. Let them eat each other. I don't care. But, and I just can't imagine. Oh, I just fucking honked my horn. Jesus Christ. I can't imagine actually having a stranger who I've never met before, whose chemistry I have no idea about. We have no history. I have nothing to go off of because it's entirely unfamiliar to me. Touching my body, wanting me there, you know, doing all these things just for their own pleasure, using me as a fleshlight, and like me basically probably using them as a dildo in order to get off because they have nothing else. I'm lonely, I'm desperate, I need somebody, so you're around, so I'll just take you. I'll just take you since there's nobody around and I'm desperate for attention, I'm desperate for love. That's like emotionally just also wanting someone to jerk you off. It's like the emotional and the sexual validation to get is just me psychologically blowing them. And I'm just like, where is your self-respect? Where is your pride? Where is your sense of dignity? Because it just seems like you fucking have none. A lot of you people that just do this, a lot of people who end up doing that really don't have that because they're stuck in a toxic cycle. They get stuck with other people. They develop an appetite for toxicity and bad people who are just outwardly really attractive or serve as a fucking, like a fuckhole for them. And they just want to be got off. And I'm just like, or they just want someone to get them off. Sorry, that just sounded retarded. But I'm not playing anybody's games. I'm not putting myself in the middle of that. I'm not someone who has stupidly high standards. I'm not somebody who is and feels like she's entitled to a certain man. I'm not somebody who wants a perfect man and this fairy tale idea of what a idealistic man looks like, or a fucking Prince Charming looks like. I'm not interested in that. I am just interested in a man who can line up some fundamental values with me, who's reasonably attractive to me, because I think everybody wants that, and that's it. It's not that deep. It's not fucking rocket science. I just don't want to be with somebody who is going to use me. I don't want to be with someone who uses me. I don't want to be with someone who can't figure out a way to commit. I don't want to be with someone who is stuck on their phone, stuck on social media all the time, is wrapped up in toxicity, and is in this constant state of toxicity where they're serially dating people and becoming a rebound, and they have all this extra baggage, you know? It's just, and I feel like it, getting out there and organically meeting people really kind of just reduces the chances of running into those kind of people, at least in the online spheres. I mean, you have to wade through so much shit in those places that you got to do that in real life too, but you can spot them out a little more. Like, you get a feeling for who they are better than if you were to meet them online. That is the difference. Like, you can use your other senses and your other aspects of judgment to spot these people out and avoid them. I mean, people can hide things, but it is, I think there is an instinct there that we all get, and I think we all need to follow them. That's there for a reason. Especially if you have female intuition, you'll be able to spot that better. So, yes, I'm single. I've dealt with a lot in my life, but I just don't feel like jumping in and playing the game. Not because I'm, have really low self-esteem per se. Not because I'm really want to be alone. It's not because I feel like I'm too good to settle for anybody. It's just me. Part of it is just really a me problem. I've had difficulties like this all my life because I am so used to being alone. I mean, that's how long I've been single. So, and I just having to wake up and see how bad the world has gotten over the past few years, it makes me not want to try, because I just don't want to end up having so many emotional scars and damage and baggage as a result of it. And I don't think anybody should put themselves to that. You don't have to force yourself to try to do something. What you can do is learn how to do it the right way. There's a different way. You work smarter, not harder. And that goes with anything in life, especially with dating, because a lot of people really do not have your best interest. They do not have respect for you. You really need to utilize your intelligence and knowing how to spot somebody, especially if you're someone like me who's been through really unique things, really difficult, hard things that most people can't really wrap their heads around, that we have to live with every single fucking day. You really have to have a good strategy for going about these things. And yeah, we all have to have a strategy. You can't just go out and be around people nowadays and then just expect all these things, because you're just going to get hurt. And you don't have to be a detransition person, a woman like me, or a misfit underdog, in order to understand that. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about dating. I'm very lonely. It's very hard, and I will put myself out there more so, especially now that I'm kind of stuck up in the mountains, and I do need to try harder to keep myself from going crazy that way. But it's just I don't really, I don't see anything good coming out at the end of it, because to what end am I actually going to find the right person? It's not even the right person. I don't even know if I can expect anyone to have basic morals and values and decency and regard for other people, and a willingness to try to commit to something. Like, I just feel like that's becoming a dying trend anymore, But anyway, I'm gonna go because this is almost 30 minutes. Jesus Christ, why can't I do anything under 30 minutes? But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. It's been on my mind for a while. All right, y'all, until next time. Bye.